I'm walking in about to see Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. This is absolutely my most anticipated movie for pretty much the entire decade. I love the trilogy that Matt Reeves and Rupert Wyatt put out with Rise, Dawn, and War. All three of those movies might be A pluses for me. Love them, including, that's probably my favorite movie trilogy of all time, and I think my favorite movie character of all time is Caesar. How much more excited can I possibly get? And this fourth film looks like it's taking things in the right direction, and so yeah, super duper hyped. Literally walking into it. I'll let you know what I thought of it once I get out. Hi, my name is Nathan, and I talk about a lot of movies on this channel. If you're new here, down below in the comment section, share your thoughts on Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Over on my channel, I have more content like this. Check those out once this video is over. And if you enjoyed this video, click the like button and be sure to subscribe, because that really does help a lot. As I said before, it was my most anticipated movie of pretty much the entire decade, as I thoroughly enjoyed the previous three films in this trilogy, and so naturally I was very curious and excited to see what they would do next. Did it live up to my hype? Let's discuss that here, talking about the good. And while I would say that this movie wasn't quite as good as I was hoping, as I had my expectations up way too high now, as I realized that, I still think this is a very, very great movie, and I think I would say it's the best possible sequel to War for the Planet of the Apes. This is the best possible version of a continuation for that movie, where it just feels like a natural continuation, even when it's set generations in the future. It builds off of what the previous trilogy does and adds something new to the mix, while also having still the magic of the Matt Reeves films of Rupert Wyatt in Rise of the Planet of the Apes. I think it still has that magic to it, and so I just thought, even though this movie, it disappointed me a little bit, it's still a fantastic film. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and it's just a great sequel to War for the Planet of the Apes. And what it does such a good job at doing is that it shows you the passage of time. This movie is obviously set generations after War for the Planet of the Apes, and if you just go back and look at Rise of the Planet of the Apes and rewind and go to this movie, it actually feels like a natural way how the end of War for the Planet of the Apes would turn into this kind of apocalyptic world in Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, and it just does a great job at being set hundreds of years in the future, while also feeling consistent with the rest of the franchise. And another thing that this movie does really well is that it makes me as the audience rethink and reevaluate the ending of War for the Planet of the Apes. Now, obviously, I thoroughly enjoy the previous three films in this franchise, and War for the Planet of the Apes is a movie that I absolutely love. But as satisfying as that movie is, when watching this movie, it made me kind of rethink, was that really the most satisfying way to end War for the Planet of the Apes? Was that really how it should have went? And this movie made me think about that, due to the events that take place, especially the stuff with the humans. And I just thought that was really well done, when you still think that the ending to a previous movie is satisfying, but a movie makes you reevaluate and rethink on some things. So I just thought that was a really well done aspect of the film. Also, obviously in this movie, Caesar isn't in it, and none of our other characters from the original trilogy are in it, but Caesar just has a great presence throughout this entire film, where it's kind of cool for me to see the evolution of this character. Caesar might be my favorite movie character of all time. In Rise of the Planet of the Apes, he starts off as just a normal, basically house pet that's more intelligent than other apes, and he grows and becomes this leader, and he fights for the apes in Dawn, until unfortunately a war breaks out because of Koba in War, and he's a very flawed hero, but he's also just a very good, compelling character, and that's what I love about Caesar. And even while he's dead, he still just has a great presence. This movie keeps bringing up Caesar. It acknowledges what he did for the apes in the previous movies. It totally respects the character. And I thought that that was just a great way to continue the legacy of the previous films without fully having to undermine or cheapen the legacy of the previous 3 films. And final thing to talk about here in the good, the visual effects are just immaculate. As all of these movies are, like, the visuals are just immaculate. They look so convincing in this movie. All of it's, 90% of it's probably CGI with the motion capture and the apes and everything, but it all just looks and feels grounded in a sense. So this movie is kind of exactly what I wanted it to be as a sequel to a movie I absolutely love in War for the Planet of the Apes, while also doing its own new thing and being a satisfying continuation of that trilogy without having to undermine it. There are a few nitpicks I have, so let's move on to the bad. Like I said at the beginning of this video, I will admit I am a little bit disappointed by this movie, as it was my most anticipated movie of the year and pretty much for the entire decade. But this movie, like I said, is still great, but there are just some things that I thought just didn't make it quite as good as the previous 3 films. First one up here, it doesn't really have as big of an impact on me as Rise of the Planet of the Apes, Dawn, and War did, as it does have some sort of emotion to it, but I didn't think it was as effective as it was before. Perhaps that might be because Caesar is taken out of the picture. I think perhaps the main reason is because the ending to me just felt more anticlimactic than the previous 3 films. Still satisfying, but anticlimactic. And second problem here, I thought the pacing was a little bit inconsistent, I will admit. So you get all the setup at the beginning, and you get our inciting incident, and then our lead character goes off on his adventure. But the movie, there's this long stretches of times where he's talking with his friend and things like that in the movie, and then it goes to like big not bombastic, but big tense sequence, and it goes to just talking for most of the time again, and then it goes to big sequence again. Just thought it could have been paced and evened out a bit better, but still, those are just minor nitpicks. This is a movie that I thoroughly enjoy. I thought it was really good, and I thought it was a great continuation of War for the Planet of the Apes. Overall, I'll give it an A-, and if you love the previous 3 films of this franchise, I would imagine you would really enjoy this movie. So there you have it. Those are my thoughts on Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Down below in the comment section, share what you thought of it over on my channel. I have more content like this. Check those out right now. Thank you guys so much for sticking around to the end, and I will see you in the next one.